me start recording. And I'm really pleased to have a couple of people who've done some really awesome contributions to Dylan Kern's Elm Markdown. We've got Stephen and Thomason. You guys want to say a quick hello? So actually, I was thinking maybe it might be interesting to hear a little bit from Stephen and Thomason about like just their experiences working with the Elm Parser library and with Elm Markdown, and why they got interested in that, and what their experience has been. You guys want to share anything there?
Thomason, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think the first time I did proper parsing was in the 0.18 to 19 upgrade, and they removed the date library stuff. And I had something in my app that was checking if a string was a date or not, which didn't need all the time zone things. And I tried to write my own date parser to figure it out, and it was so challenging, and I was really frustrated. So when I found Markdown, it was doing fun parsing stuff, and I thought it was a good time to get into something I'd really enjoyed but found kind of hard.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, it's been a pleasant surprise to see people jumping and contributing, and it's been great having you guys making pull requests. Cool, Stephen, you wanna share a little bit?
Yeah, funnily enough, it was actually also the 019 upgrade with the date package.
Yeah.
I was working on porting a date picker, I think it was. I needed to parse out dates. And I thought it was fun. And then I played around a little bit with writing an emoji parser. Okay. I had never released that one because it was just way too slow. Still hoping to get that figured out at some point here, but I found Elm Markdown when I was just looking for something to do in Oktoberfest, and then I saw Dylan had a post about this a few times, and I thought it looked like fun, and there was some nice issues that looked like they would be easy to jump into, and sure enough, it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, it's I never imagined that writing a Markdown parser would be so fun, but the thing is having like a spec, so in Markdown, there's like this big old spec, like the Github-Flavored Markdown spec here. Actually, you can see like even just scrolling through this entire spec takes a long time, let alone handling every single case that's covered here. Markdown, like at first, I thought it might be relatively easy. Like it's just like, oh yeah, like why doesn't somebody write like a pure Elm Markdown parser using Elm Parser? And of course, it turns out because it's extremely time consuming and difficult. And but the main reason that I got started with this library is I wanted something that solved this problem kind of similar to MDX. So MDX is Markdown with JSX, like React style. So you can do things like, you can have like a bullet list within a div or within. See, now I actually think this is too low level to just be directly using divs. I see it more as something where you should declaratively write out your own domain specific view widgets. So that was kind of the vision for my Markdown parser, and that's why I went to the trouble of building a Markdown parser from scratch, which is a lot of work. But it's been a lot of fun. So today, let's dive into some coding. So what we're going to be doing today is parsing tables. We have not started writing parsers for this. We have not done a practice parser for this or anything. We're just going to dive right into it. So first, let me maybe show what tables even are in Markdown. So So let's say in the README here, let's say we want to compare this to other Markdown parsers in the Elm community. So I've just kind of created this sort of plain text table using these pipes to separate the different columns. So each of these is creating a new column. This is like a little separator that's separating like the heading row from the other rows. And then in each cell I can have these things. So, Elm Explorations Markdown, it's actually wrapping the JavaScript library marks.js. So is it pure Elm? That one's not. This one is. Pablo did a Markdown parser. He actually did it before the Elm parser library was released, so it's pure Elm, but it's using regular expressions. But he's done some amazing stuff with that. Elm Explorations Markdown does magic parsing for you, does magic syntax highlighting, because it actually bundles in highlight, or if you include the highlight.js library globally in your code, it will use it to do highlighting within your Markdown blocks. And then parsing Markdown within HTML, that's like a special feature of, that was the primary reason that I built this parser library. Also, this library sort of helps you validate HTML tags. So anyway, this I won't get into too many of the details about the specifics of this library. You can read this blog post that I have on the Elm Pages blog, where I kind of give an intro to kind of the reason for creating this library and the basic concepts there. But I just wanted to kind of show, why you might actually use this Markdown feature of a table by adding something in the README here. So yeah, let's dive into some code and do some parsing. So I'm going to fire up my test suite, because test-driven development is really helpful for parsing. It's really helpful for a lot of things, but it's especially helpful for parsing. So, all right, Thomason and Steven, let's jump right into it. So, what do you say we create a first test case? So first, let me make a test file and then write a test case. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect.
Sweet. So, table parser tests.
The DFM spec wasn't optional. I always assumed it would be.
I'm sorry, Thomas, and can you repeat that? It was cutting out a little bit.
I'm looking at the GFM spec, and the header row is optional. It's not optional. I always assumed it would be.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Header row. Okay, so Thomason is looking at this, the GFM spec, and she's saying that the header row, which is this guy, is not optional. This is required. Yeah, that is interesting, huh? But the more stuff that you get to remove ambiguity, the better in terms of, for the machine, for our code, parsing it explicitly without having to handle ambiguities. And for humans, not, being more clear on whether something will actually be interpreted the way you expect. It can be nice, because the Markdown spec has all sorts of special cases for ambiguity and stuff that can be a little confusing at times, and makes parsing kind of tricky. But okay, so let's create a first test case here. And like, what type are we going to parse into? Like, let's say, a table.
Probably do something.
Yeah.
We could probably do something like it has maybe headers and a body or something like that.
Just start by defining a row as the smallest unit.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So maybe it's like, are headers just a single row?
Yeah,
Could be.
they're random.
I'm sorry, Thomas, and you're cutting out a little bit. That's a bummer. Can you try saying that again?
I think so. It just looks like they're rendered differently. That's the only difference between headers and body
Gotcha.
rows.
Oh, so are you suggesting that we just have a list of rows and just say the first one is the header? Or just pointing that out?
but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think the header needs to be a different type.
Right. Gotcha. Nice. Cool. Let's see. Let me check in on the chat here. Some people asking about the editor. Yeah, IntelliJ has some really nice features. VS Code does too, but yeah, I've been kind of... Sometimes I use multiple editors on the same project just because they have different features and I want all of them. I like some of the refactoring support for this. Can you add a type? Can you have a type that prevents having a bad state, like more headers than columns, right? Or more columns than headers or something? Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that too. That's a really great question. Is there...
So the GitHub spec says that if there's more columns than headers, then we're just supposed to ignore them.
Okay, then it's just not a table. Or just ignore... okay, so
in the body.
Just chop them off as if... So if you define two headers... Yeah. So actually, let's just see what happens here in the README. So you're saying I have like column 1, column 2, and then I have cell 1, cell 2. So that's all good. And then if I say cell 3, it just doesn't show up. And then if I add a column 3, now it shows up.
Do they mean the state of having a technical possibility of header row having like 7 columns and then other body rows having different numbers? Like maybe you need to define the type based on columns rather than rows.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Interesting. Yeah, if we had like the data type as columns, that's interesting. Although, can you have more? So you can have empty columns, which is interesting. Is empty columns the same as this? I guess it is. Yeah. So if the data structure, like if we take this example, and if we were to just model this. Somebody's trolling me and asking what kind of developer uses light mode. No, I'm just joking. It's somebody I know, Andrew, a friend of mine, so I can call him a troll. Yeah. I switched to I always switch to light mode for like streams and presentations because it can be a little easier for people to see sometimes. Okay, so I think what kind of data structure we want for this. Let's actually just say, let's write it out.
The rows would be much easier to pass into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think rows are fine since we can deal with a variable number of cells in a row easier that way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's write out what both of them are. I agree. I think it's going to be a lot easier to deal with, and I think we're at the point where we can just try something. But it is interesting to think about, and we can circle back to different ways to represent this. So I think this would just be empty. I think this is just the same as if it was I think that this and this are the same as far as the actual output is concerned. So we can just treat this as an empty string.
Oh, that's interesting. So you actually create so if that last pipe is there, do you create an empty TD or not?
Oh, that's a good question.
We can get to that later.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think this is actually an interesting example because you don't want to think about every single case before you start, but at the same time, you want to model the constraints appropriately. And so you want to think about it just enough to come up with the right data structure. So I agree with you, Stephen, that let's take a quick peek and see what the expected output is. So
if you look at example 204, yeah, it looks like they are creating an extra TD there, an empty one.
Which means you'd have to represent that in the parser, right? Because you need to give it to people to output.
Yes.
Unless it's part of the rendering step where you look at the number of headers.
I actually think that's kind of reasonable. I kind of like the idea because actually what we're going to do for the parser. So with Markdown parsing in general, Markdown parsers, they actually have a section about this in the spec, where they give a suggested strategy for parsing, and what they say is. Parsing has two phases. In the first phase, you consume the lines and get the structure of the document. And in the second phase, you parse the actual inlines within them, which means that in the first phase, if I had some bold here, we don't care about this bold in the first phase. So we're just going to parse the exact string and get the rough structure. And then in the second phase, we actually parse the inlines within each cell. So I think our job for the first pass is just to, we can get a very literal translation of this structure. And I think prettifying it and making sure that the right number of columns and stuff, I think it's easier to do that after we parse it. So I like the idea of being very simple here and saying, we're just going to give you exactly what we find. If we don't find another column. Now, we might need to do a validation step, though, because there is an interesting fact, which is that it doesn't parse it if you have the wrong number of columns. So this is an important point because if I have an extra hanging column here and I don't have a header for it, oh wait, no, it ignores that.
For delimiters, it does that. So if you change the delimiter line from the header line, then it just throws it.
If I change.
Yeah. So if you remove the line underneath column 3, then it's just gonna fail to parse it. The dash pipeline.
It's funny. This prettier doesn't allow me to do that. I see.
That's
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
When I save it, it was automatically formatting it, but we get a preview before I save it. Nice. Okay, cool. Oh, so it's strictly, so we don't care what happens below the header. Right. But the header, the number of separators in the header needs to match the number of columns in the header. Cool. So our parser does need to care about that because we need to fail the parser and just say, just stop trying. It's definitely not, a table under this condition.
Which means you really need to be able to backtrack all the way to the beginning of the header if it fails to parse
Yeah,
the delimiter
exactly.
as well.
And what I've been doing now, it's not great to backtrack, but I've got some ideas about how to handle the backtracking where we can basically in Markdown, if your parser fails, then what you do is you actually don't technically need to backtrack. You pass it to the inline parser. And the inline parser just takes a string. It's actually not technically an Elm parser because the algorithm for parsing inlines, it never fails, right? Elm parser is built to fail as soon as it catches something that's invalid. But the inline parsers in Markdown, like in Markdown, if I say this is an unclosed link, right? Well, it doesn't care, right? If I just have this unclosed link, then it's just text. And if I have, this is almost bold. If I do this, then it just does its best. It says, oh, you didn't put a second asterisk, then this is italic. Or you can finish it and make it bold. So it will always successfully parse. That's not what Elm parser is built to do. Elm parser is built to fail by making strong assumptions, and the moment you violate an assumption, the parser fails, which is what you want in a lot of cases. But with Markdown, it's different. So the inline parser it behaves totally differently and doesn't use Elm parser. Okay, cool. So let's add a test case for this. We're going to want to do this eventually. I'll just add it as a comment for now to come back to it. So to do test case for fail parser.
Should we do a first pass without worrying about that validation so we can get the basic structure?
That might be a good strategy. Yeah. So possible strategies, we could do a second pass to validate it, or we could do it during first pass.
I meant in terms of writing the actual code. First pass of writing the parser.
Yeah, we're totally ready for that. Let's dive into it. So, so I always like to start with a hard-coded passing test here. So
you'd start with no body at all, probably. That's the simplest we can get.
No, but is that valid? Nice.
Yep, just generates the headers.
Perfect. In fact, could just use this. Beautiful. So
we'll already be more compliant to the spec.
Yeah, that's right. So we've actually got a test suite that we can run, which will be fun. So let me show everybody that real quick, actually. We can run through, and what it's doing is it's running through the entire suite of specs from this document. So example 201, example 202, it's doing all of those. So it's pretty cool. If we actually go to Dylan Kern's elm-markdown, nice. That page doesn't exist because I made all those test cases pass. That's awesome. So if we go to tables, we can see the failing test cases and the expected output and their current output. And we're going to be able to see some of these failing test cases turn into passing test cases during the course of this. So that'll be fun. Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so if we take this and we run our parser, and let's just say it's like parser.succeed, just to get something compiling now. So I expect when I run my parser, I expect it to equal, well, list of rows. I mean, we could have this data type. So, okay, so I expect it to equal table maybe we should just call row a type alias for list of string. What do you guys think of that?
Certainly works
cool.
for now.
Yeah, we'll start simple. So I expect this to be ABC. Oh, and let's just keep the space for now. And we'll let the future step trim it as needed. So this should parse to that.
And then an empty list at the end of the chapter.
Sorry, to do list?
In your expectation, yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Exactly.
Perfect.
Nice. Good call. Oh, list of lists. Right, the list of no lists. Yeah, hurts my brain a little bit, but that's to be expected when you're writing a parser, I guess. So, okay, cool. Now, Github-Flavored Markdown, tables, simple case. Let's see what happens when we run this. So I'm, okay. Thematic break. Just call that parser. So what I'm doing is, sometimes I like to just to get something going really quickly, I like to just define the very starting point in a test and then extract it to a module later. So I've got a debug.todo. Let's make this parser.succeed with our actual data type, which is, we've got a table, we've got a row, we've got another row. So let's see if that's green. Hopefully that's green, oh, no, wait. I need to hard code it. That'll be red. Yes, it is. So, hey, let's make it green. Oops. There we go. Yay. Okay. So, hey, it's green. Let's commit it. Okay, cool. So now, what's our next step here?
Parse a row.
Parse. Sorry, Thomason, what did you say? Parse what? Parse the row. Yeah. That sounds good to me. Okay, so just like basically extract this and make this part not hard coded.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the brain hurting emoji in the chat. Nice. So Yes, parse the row. So let's go to our parser, and instead of succeeding, we'll make this a real thing. So to do that, okay, so here's a little trick I like to use sometimes. Let's pull this down to parser.succeed with this part. And then let's make this parser.map header.
Could you also separate out the row parser and then write a separate test
Oh,
for
that's
that specifically?
interesting. Yeah. That's an interesting idea. We definitely can. Sure, let's try it. So in that case, you're saying this would be our header parser? Nice. That's a
Yeah.
cool idea.
Generic row.
Oh, just a row. Ah, nice. Okay, cool.
It's all the same
Right.
thing, really.
Nice. Okay, so our row parser is just going to always think it's this. I like that. So you're saying let's simplify and actually
Yeah, I really love, especially with parsers, breaking them down into just the absolute
Right.
smallest unit
Awesome.
I can find.
Awesome idea. I like that a lot. Okay, so yeah, that's nice. And actually with that, like, we don't want both of these tests to fail. So let's just keep this hard-coded thing in here for now. Instead of using that.
Works.
So one thing we could do is we could, let's put this in a describe. And maybe let's make a different test case. I don't know, test a single row. Oh yeah, and this is not going to parse to a, oh yeah.
Just be to a list of string.
Yes. Nice. Yeah, this is nice to work with. I like this a lot. Nice. Yeah, this was a good call on the row parser. So, cool. Okay, so actually, and I kind of like taking the smallest steps possible. I'm a little bit obsessive about that. So, so here's a step that'll keep it passing. Why not? And then another step we can take is if we say our token thing. And the syntax for this can be a little annoying. At least I always forget. And I was chatting with Stephen and Thomason the other day, and they've had the same experience of just like, wait a minute, how do you parse a token, and what's the difference between a token and a symbol? So let me sneak over to this thematic break parser here, and see how we did it here. We made our little token help. Okay, I know I should have this in a helper. Should we extract this to a helper? Should we be good, or should we be naughty? We may as well.
Just put it in
Yeah,
your parser
totally.
utils. Parser that extra.
Yeah, nice. You know, being naughty, it's not that much faster, so I guess you may as well do it the right way. Got a type annotation. That's
love
one of
that.
the handiest things. Actually, another cool feature of IntelliJ Elm is like if you're saying I don't know, like if you're trying to import something, then it'll say, oh, do you want to import one of these as this? Because it has a function named that. So it's really nice for importing things and stuff too. So token help, let's expose that. Another nice feature, automatically takes care of that for you. Did I break anything? No. Uh-oh. Back up. Oh. There we go. Token help.
Okay, cool.
Nice. And I guess I may as well just say exposing token help, at which point I can delete this. And that's still happy. So, cool. Okay, so now we don't have to be naughty. We can just do token help. Which, by the way, what token help does is it says token. It lets you have this custom expecting, which is like one of the features of the advanced parsing in Elm, which in this Markdown parsing library, I'm not yet taking advantage of the nice parser advanced, like, you know, the context and the extra like subtle error messages that it can give you. We're not really leveraging that yet, but that's definitely at the top of the to-do list. Okay, so yeah, so let's just say like this is going to give us the exact same set of failures. We're just saying, yeah, let's parse this pipe. I expect to see that.
So one thing that could be really easy, we could decide not to go down this path, but would just be grab the whole line and then split it on pipe if we wanted to cheat and use string functions.
Well, it's a step.
If we want to just go down the pure parser route, then we can do that.
It's a step. Let's try it and see how it feels. Yeah. So,
it's not quite the fun parser route, but
I'm trying to think, how would we even know if it fails?
So you wouldn't at all in this route. Yeah, we'd have to find a case where it should fail, and then we wouldn't be able to do that.
Root condition. The basic thing is I need, like, how do I know something is a Github-Flavored Markdown table? Well, as a parser, I know if the very first character is a pipe, and does the last character on the line need to be a pipe?
So those are actually both optional, which is what makes this a little bit interesting.
What would that look like?
Yeah, I think.
Help me write one.
So if you don't have any of them, you need something in there. And so like if you have two columns, you need a pipe between them. But with one column, I think you might need both.
Oh wow, it's just recommended.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so column 1, column 2, and then I have to do this, and now it's a table. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, right, because there's this note that says, okay, table is an arrangement of data, rows and columns consisting of a single header row, a delimiter row, separating the header from the data. So a single header row, that's not optional. There must be a row above the delimiter row, a single row. There must be a delimiter row, exactly one delimiter row, and then there must be 0 or more data rows. And each one,
Right.
inlines are separated by pipes. A leading and trailing pipe is recommended. Yeah.
I vote for pretending
Okay.
they're required for now.
That works.
Yeah.
So we could parse it.
We could also. Well, what if we did just say, like, give me the string, like, so how do we do that? We do like parse until chomp until and or new line, right? And then we can like do like get chomped string. And then I can actually grab this and say this is the row string. And I mean, I can just do this. I think I kind of feel like since we don't get to have the parser guarantee that it's going to start and or end with a pipe, like, let's just ignore that and treat it as like a validation at the end that we just strip those off. But so I think we can take this string and we can just say, yeah, like you were saying, Stephen, like string dot split on pipe.
What about in a single column case?
Yeah, so I think you have to have. I think for a single column, you have to have it wrapped with pipes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's check it. And somebody just checking in on the chat here. Somebody was asking, can I bump up the font size? Absolutely. That is a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Have some nicer defaults for streaming mode here. See. It bumped up the font sizes for everything but the actual text. Oh dear. There we go. Let me know if that's any better. Hopefully that helps. Can you put a pipe character in cell text? I think probably a backslashed one. So that might be a case too. Yeah.
Yep.
Good question. Okay, cool. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely going to have some edge cases to get to. For now, let's see. Oh, hey, look at that. Look at our new test output. So that's we can
Cool.
work
So
with
now
this. We can work with this.
we can just start filtering out empties and.
Yeah. Is that always going to give us what we want? Right, because we can. Yeah, because actually we need to do it just at the beginning, right? So what were you saying, Thomason?
Mm-hmm.
There is the case where you reach the end of the table after all the rows are done, and the next row will also have a new line. But when you split it, it won't have any pipes to split on, so it'll just return a single column looking like a single column.
Oh boy. All right. Cool. Well, yeah. That's
New plan, full-blown parser.
Well, you know what we could do? We could just say row parser. I'm going to eat any leading or trailing pipes. That seems kind of nice.
Okay.
Hey Josh, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining. So, okay. Where did my row parser go? There you are. So we want our token helper. So yeah, let's say like first I start by greedily eating a pipe.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of almost saying for this first pass, go with, it's assuming they have pipes in the beginning and the end.
Right. Well, so we can also say one of, but yeah, you're right. That actually does. Yeah. So, Thomason had suggested that earlier. I should have gone with that advice. You're right. That would have been a good strategy there. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. We can probably build off of that and just say this or succeed. Meaning, you can have a pipe or you cannot have a pipe. They're both fine. But if there is one, then consume it, which is how parsers work. So for anybody who's new, and I'm sure there are several people in here who haven't used Elm parser yet. So actually, Teresa has a really nice intro to it from ElmConf. Just look up ElmConf parsers and you'll find it on YouTube. But she describes nicely this kind of way that parsers work, where it's kind of eating one character at a time, and if it eats a character, there's no going back. It's committed on that path, unless you're like backtracking. So there's some special cases there, but that's why I actually have to eat this first, also, because if I eat it's going to do one of these. I have to make sure it does the one that might fail before it does the one that always succeeds. So, okay. That gets rid of our leading white space, and then how do we parse the trailing white space? So we could just have our parser say parse until I hit a pipe. Get chomp string until end or pipe.
Tighten.
How about a pipe and a
Yeah,
new
can I
line
do that?
character?
I can't remember if there's a syntax for that.
Because it looks like it's taking in a full string and not just a
Yeah.
character.
Well, oh, so you're saying chomp until, nice. That's clever. I like that. Nice. I like that a lot. So then we can say one of either get me the chomped string. So get chomped string is just whatever parsing happened within this. Give me the raw string from that. So get me whatever you can chomp until pipe new line. Or just a new line.
Get chomp string is one of the methods that I found
It's
most weirdly
super
confusing when I
It's
started parsing.
interesting working
Yeah.
with Elm parser because in a lot of ways it doesn't feel like the Elm you're used to, because it feels like there are these, it almost feels like side effects, like you do this thing and you're like, oh, now the state totally changed. But of course it is this like stateful thing, so it's hard to wrap your brain around. Okay, so this is okay. Now when we say get chomped until pipe, it's actually not eating the pipe, it's eating until the pipe. So now we need to eat the pipe after this, which means we have to do this. I think this will fix this empty string. Expecting pipe. Do I need to do it here?
It says row 1. So it looks like it was the first one.
Mm-hmm. So expecting pipe row 1, column 14. So it's the end. Yeah.
It looks like the very end.
Oh, yeah.
So it's failing at the very end because it's chomp until end or pipe new line. But we're not pipe new line.
Did
We
we
don't
not
have a new
put a new
line.
line in our row?
Yes. We did not, which there shouldn't have to be, right? A chomp until end or... that's not going to work, though. Oh. Let's see. We could say... How do we do that? Chomp. Until, like, if we could say end here, then that would give us what we need, but we can't. Right? We could do like a backtrackable parser, I guess. Like we could say try to parse.
I mean, it's possible that really the easiest thing for us to do is just to say, just start down the path of parsing strings and then pipes and strings and then pipes.
Strings, then pipes, strings, pipes. Okay, so just
let's start
do
looping
like a
over
loop parser
until we
just parse until you get to a pipe, add it to the row.
So we start with a pipe and then start aggregating strings until we hit a pipe or the end.
Does that have to be a loop parser? Pipe.
Let's see.
One loop equals one cell.
Yeah.
Right.
So we parse. Yeah, what if we went back to this original idea of just saying yeah, if we just parse if we just parse the whole thing, if we just parse the line and then grab that, trim trailing and leading pipes, right? That would work too.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just say chomp until new line, we don't need this one of. We could just say row string, drop trailing pipe. If string ends with pipe, then drop one character to the right. Hey, it's green.
Cool.
So
we'll have to revisit this later, but it's passing for now.
We get that test case passing, and our future test cases will force us to handle other cases probably and maybe go down a different route. That's okay. So nice.
Cool.
So we've got...
so now we've got our first row chomped, but we haven't chomped our delimiter line yet.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds like a good next step. So let's commit this. Add helper function. Cool. Okay, so we've got our basic row parser. So now, what is our next step? We want to parse the heading. So, okay, so we parse 2 rows, we parse a single row. Oh, and you know what? We probably are already parsing this too. Without trailing or leading pipes. I think we're already parsing this.
Yeah, I bet we are.
Are we checking for a leading pipe?
Oh, no, because it says or exceed. It's one of, or
exactly.
succeed. It's one of.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yep, we're throwing everything at the problem. Yeah, like if this will fail, right? I always feel uncomfortable if I don't see it fail. Yeah.
Red, green, right?
Yeah, it totally does that. Nice.
Cool.
So cool. Okay, so yeah, Stephen, you were suggesting that now it's time to parse one of these, which actually, so Thomason's strategy of the row parser was very nice. Maybe a similar strategy for like, what's the terminology they used? The delimiter row?
Right.
Delimiter. It should be almost exactly the same implementation, right? Just with a different internal kind of.
Yes, and I'm thinking what would be
Pretty cool.
nice is like maybe having a custom type is overboard, but it's like this is the information the delimiter row gives me, right? It's how many columns are there.
I like pulling it onto another type because there's going to be some other information as well later, like alignments and stuff, and so we have a place to put it.
Nice. Good point. It's nice when just like following a good practice is justified later because it helps you with other stuff. That's a great point. Okay, cool. So we want a delimiter row parser, which is just a parser delimiter row. And we can just succeed to get it compiling. Yeah, this is really nice. Cool. Okay, so now we need a test case.
Do we want to add... Oh, never mind.
Oh, disregard that. You just changed everything. Sorry, Ursi, I totally neglected the chat for a minute there. I need to get like a nice setup with the chat on the stream and stuff too. I'll work on that. Okay, so yeah, let's add a describe. Delimiter. Oh, wow. Spelling it wrong. Thank you. Thank you, collective intelligence. Lately I'm noticing that there are a bunch of words that I thought I was spelling right, and I'm not, which is disappointing. Oh, it's got the squigglies. Change it to delimiter. Nice. Thank you, Putzbook. Okay, so let's add a test case for delimiter rows. What's the simplest delimiter row? I mean, the simplest delimiter row is just like hyphen.
Just hyphens.
Does one hyphen count?
I don't see anything in here that says how many there. It says separating the header from the data.
I think it does count. They have one an example 199.
109, nice. 109. 199. There she is.
199.
Okay.
199.
Yep.
Yeah. Although that's Wow. Okay. Let's see what happens.
That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Justifying rows. That's a whole nother feature. So if we do this, yeah, that works. That totally works.
cool.
Cool.
Okay, and also leading and trailing spaces. Can you have spaces inside the hyphens or not?
Doubt
You
it.
can't. That's nice.
Okay. All right. So it's
Yep.
just hyphens.
Nice.
Good deal.
Many, many hyphens.
One or more.
Right.
You have a helper for that.
Cool. So, yeah, what should we do? Should we start with a simple? I mean, this is the easiest case, right? May as well start with that, I guess.
So you want that to return delimiter 1?
Yes.
Awesome.
Delimiter row.
I've definitely been thinking of it as delimiter this whole time.
Delimiter. Okay, so cool. Oh, yeah, it fails in the expected way. Well, let's make it pass. Okay, what should we do next? Without pipes?
Maybe 2 of them. If that pipes works.
Oh, 2.
How does that work?
Oh, like this, yeah.
Yeah, without the rows or without the pipes, I'm not sure. Do you for the delimiter row, how many pipes do you need? Do you need 2 in the case of one column, or do you need?
Oh, we've got a tip on the pronunciation of delimiter. Think of it as a limit rather than a meter. Smart. I like that.
The spec for tables is unusually sparse.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, Josh. Josh is saying in the chat that he likes that he can feel more invested watching some live coding when he's actually going to get to play with the result of it in a published library. That's cool. That's fun. I like that. Yeah.
That's true.
I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back. Let's do like a 2-minute coffee break if that's cool.
Awesome.
Be back in 2. All right, everybody. Hey, Mike, you joined during the coffee break. Sorry about that. Yes, we're back, and yeah, this is IntelliJ Elm that you're looking at here. Mike is saying cool symbols. I think you're talking about the ligatures. This is a font called Dank Mono. It's actually a paid font, but you can find free fonts with ligatures as well. It's kind of cool. So it's just like, it's literally these characters, but if you do certain combinations of characters, it turns it into these cool ligatures. Yeah, I like that.
I found an example of a table here that doesn't have leading or trailing pipes for the delimiter row.
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't have, yeah.
It just has 2 columns because I guess you need something in there.
Wait, help
Okay, so when you have 2 columns, then you can have neither leading
me
nor
type it out.
trailing.
Okay, if you have 2 columns, so column 1 and column 2, then you can have what?
No leading or trailing pipes for any of the rows.
So I can do that.
Interesting. Yeah. I bet that works for the header as well.
Yeah. Right. Cool. So basically, if the only characters in here are, let's ignore the colon for now, but if there are only like a combination of spaces, I guess maybe tabs are included in there too, pipes, and then consecutive, these guys, dashes, they have to be consecutive, then it's valid. So yeah, this seems like actually classic parser stuff to just be like, hey, eat all the white space, like optionally eat the leading thing, and then eat all the white space you can, and then eat all of these consecutive characters that you can, and then eat all the white space you can, optionally white space, then eat a pipe, and then keep going and keep track of a count and keep going until you hit the end of the line or the end of the document. Yeah. So
Perfect.
What do you guys think? Should we do a loop parser?
Sounds good.
Loops are fun.
Yeah, those are I always get tripped up on the syntax for those. I always have to refresh. So for anyone who's new to parsing or just forgets like me, loop parsers are pretty handy. You can actually keep track of state as you're parsing something, and it's just kind of a helper for going through and building up. I mean, in a way, it's kind of like a fold for parsing a little bit. Like you have this, the current state, and then you call done to give the final state. It's interesting because we're not used to like looping in Elm, but it's kind of like a, while, and then done is like a break almost, or a return or something. So yeah, let's try that. Okay, so these are passing. I may as well commit it since it's green. Okay.
I don't think I'm going to forget how to spell delimiter after learning about limit.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
That's so helpful.
Those little, like when you change the way you think about it, then you can actually remember stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So we need to update our type.
Nice.
Still a meter.
Nice.
I really want to get the editor that renders the markdown for you as you type.
I'm just using VS Code for that. Yeah, it's got a pretty nice preview. Oh, I also use Bear for notes sometimes. It's pretty cool. It's like, have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
I like it.
Bear doesn't have tables,
I know, that's
unfortunately.
true.
Oh,
Yeah. We'll have to build our own. Same as last words.
be pretty easy, yeah.
Okay, so now we've got to turn this into a loop parser. I'm gonna copy paste some stuff. Well, I guess we can say like we're gonna have some state. Well, our state is really, it's just this. Yeah,
It's just a count,
we
right?
can just keep the final result as the state. So maybe I'll copy paste from this. So this is saying this is a parser that will, if it's successful, give you a delimiter row. Oh wait, delimiter row.
Start with delimiter 0 and just fail.
Right, fail it. Yeah, that's what I was
Maybe?
thinking about. That's an interesting one, huh? That sounds good. Let's see how that goes. It could
It could
yeah,
go
we'll
wrong.
see.
We'll see.
It's hard to tell. I think that's a great starting point, and then we'll see how that goes. So, okay, so these two types here, list of statement. This is like for the example here, like parsing statements by like going through these semicolon lines with semicolons at the end. But we're not parsing a list of statements. But
First state and the second one is
exactly, yeah.
final.
Yeah, this is the first one's
Yeah.
the state, the second
I
one's
guess they'll
final.
both be the
And in
same.
our case, they're also both going to be the same. I mean, I guess if we wanted to, we could like have it be a maybe too, but I don't know. I mean, it's not. We're gonna have to check it.
Or just a simple int to start.
Yeah.
Actually, that might be nicer.
That might help it keep it clear as well. Which part's
Yeah.
the state and which part's the result.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, cool. So,
And then same thing for the first parameter to statements help.
first parameter of statements help. The type.
And the type should be an int.
Type.
Cool.
Yeah. And not a list.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
That's why you pair program. Nice. Cool. So will this succeed? Well, I'm not using this anywhere. So I actually just want to use this here. So we should get a failing test saying it's given delimiter 0, which it is. Awesome. Well, I'm a little obsessive about committing early and often, so technically it's a failing test. I'm being a little naughty. All right, fine. I'll make it green and amend the commit. I don't want to. I don't want to be a bad influence on people, so I will keep the CI green at each commit. Okay, neat. So now, yeah, what should I do next?
Well, we need a test that
Yeah.
fails, so we need something with 2 columns in it.
Sounds like a good plan. Does that seem like a good test case? Cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Nice. Yeah, this is actually pretty fun. Parsing the delimiter row. I like the sort of way we've broken down the problem into subproblems and then pieced them together. This is nice. Okay, so
So we don't have a test with white spaces, so we probably want to start off with saying grab a pipe token or something like that.
Oh, we could use this guy. Because the beginning is kind of a special case, right?
Depending on if we want to grab the ending one or not. Because so far we don't have a test case that breaks without grabbing the leading. So we could be pedantic and say grab the leading until we have a failing test.
That's true. Yeah, sure. Okay, so you're saying we'll do this. Yeah, so this should keep passing.
And then
wait. Oh, right. This should keep failing.
I think we still need a
right. Yeah. This is failing in the way it was before. So right. So then, so what should we do? Should we try to chomp? Should we try to eat these guys?
Chomp until
pipe. That's yeah.
I was just thinking before, a nice way of doing the multiple same character stuff is you could do a chomp if for the first one to make sure you have at least one, and then do the chomp until.
Do we have a helper for that? I feel like we might have made a helper for that.
Yeah,
one or more.
It's called one or.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great idea, Thomas. And so you're saying that we should have one or more of these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I do this?
Yes. It's a really nice way for multiple repeated characters.
I like that a lot, yeah.
Oh, it's a character.
Oh, yeah, because parsers deal with one char at a time.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, so grab one or more of these. Let's copy this just so we can kind of keep track of where we are. So so far we've eaten this, Now we need to eat another pipe.
So we need to map that results into a step.
Right, exactly. And you know what is kind of cool is we can actually, I'm realizing that the pipes are actually similar to the Whitespace in the sense that the pipe is just, it's optional, right? And so like the trailing and leading pipes. So what we can do is we can just like eat until the pipe, but just throw it away and then start again. And then we can count when we are eating these dashes. So that could work nicely. Okay, so so you're saying we need a step, which looks, so the way loop works, you parse at each step, it's going to keep running through it, and if you return done, then it will stop looping. If you return loop, then you can update the state in there. So Steven's saying we need to do a loop now. So loop, I mean, we can, I guess say found +1.
Would there be a should we do the one of encapsulating the whole body like they do in the example with token help and one or more lines inside that first one of?
Yeah, I think so.
So our parser is just a one-of parser. And then, what did I mess up here? Okay,
Nothing.
cool. So, okay, so we're saying eat a pipe and then eat some hyphens, and then we're
And then loop
done.
with found plus one.
Right. So we want to copy this guy. So, and then eat a, okay, so for looping, we eat a pipe and then we eat one or more of those. So for this one, I mean, we want to end when we hit the end of line or the end of the document. Right?
So you can you could succeed on
Yes.
end.
So I can say end. Oh.
We still aren't grabbing up our final optional pipe.
Right.
Would that would be picked up by the first branch, wouldn't it?
Not the final trailing one. So we might want to.
Why not?
Because it
Because it always needs
and
one.
it parses these, but we.
Why not?
Because of the one or more part, it always needs hyphens after a pipe. But we could just add in an optional pipe, I suppose.
One of doesn't backtrack though, I thought. So it would think it was working on the ending pipe and go to one or more and just fail. Or is that a misconception?
Right. So it's saying expected one or more character here because it's expecting a hyphen. Yeah. So
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying it would have chomped it and then it would fail it and jump to the next case, in which case we'd already have eaten the pipe. So if we just didn't look for an end here, we'd be fine.
What if we said
we could put the one of instead of the one or more.
Yeah. So we could say like one of. If you get this, then map it to that, right? Oh. But if you see end,
Going nuts.
If you, or you could get to the end. So you could, yeah. Will this work? Ooh, it worked, except it just didn't up the count because we're just hard coding it instead of.
So we just need to say found.
Nice. Yeah, I always like, with test-driven development, I find it really nice to just don't worry about the duplication. You just get the test passing, use any dirty tricks up your sleeve, and then step back and look at what's going on and say, okay, what do we need to deduplicate or what do we need to abstract? But it's okay to have super ugly code as you're writing it. You've got test cases to get back to the same, functionality with cleaner abstractions as needed. So this is doing stuff. Let's commit this.
The test. Did the test
It's
pass?
green.
The testing
It's
never
passing.
finished.
Do
Yeah.
Awesome.
we need to? Should we check to see if we need all of
Yeah,
those
that's not a bad idea. So okay,
cases?
so let's step through this. So, and actually, I think we can do.
You could use a test. They
this.
still pass.
How does that work now? That's which one should I drop out? This?
I'm wondering if the second two actually aren't needed. Yeah.
Number 2, yeah.
Wow.
The last one will probably catch the no trailing case.
Mm.
Okay,
The
cool.
no trailing
Yeah.
case. So should we write a test for no trailing?
Absolutely. And then maybe also one for no leading.
Ooh,
So much to
tricky.
think about. I mean, we could just.
Although no leading gets really awkward with work if there's only one column, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
They both fail. So that's okay. We can deal with that. No leading. Column 1. So it.
That's
So,
good.
column 1, it's here. It's trying to parse a hyphen.
Could we pull that out into a little separate thing then and replicate it in one of the root branches?
Pull this out.
Like a line 58 and 59
Oh,
into its own
totally.
tiny parser. So you can just...
So I think it's actually failing on line 56 right now. So with rows and calls in the parser, it starts at 1, which is kind of odd, but
Yeah, if you pull it out though, you can chuck the hyphens thingo in at line 63 prods,
What line is it now?
and it'll pick it
Check.
up. 62, the second branch of the root one of.
Second branch of the root one of, and you're saying to just check for hyphen. Oh, just check for hyphens right away. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, right?
Right. Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
Hyphens found. Right.
Right. Cool. So now we can do no leading, but there's no way to go to done without parsing any pipes first.
So if we're doing no leading, then here let me grab the example, or no trailing. So
How's that failing?
somebody's asking. So type in elm is equivalent to data in Haskell. Yes. Yeah, type in elm is equivalent to data in Haskell. It's just defining what the elm terminology is custom type. So we want to deal with this.
Okay, so today we'd go.
We chomp
We
this.
chomp
we
the
chomp
pipe.
this. We
We chomp.
we chomp the pipe. We chomp the
Oh.
hyphens, and we're looking for hyphens and, or we could just say succeed. New line.
I think at our root one of, I wonder if,
Oh,
something
not a
like
pipe.
just an end is okay as
Yeah,
well.
That's right. That's right. You can just end.
It kind of it takes us back to the start again once we finish eating all the hyphens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that passes. Okay, so since it passes, I'm going to commit.
And then this might even work for no, I think this should work for no trailing and no leading, but we should make an extra test for that.
That's a good idea.
And I think it's even, it might even, Let's see. But we want to make sure it doesn't allow also just dashes. There needs to be a pipe in there somewhere, I think.
True. I think that will work.
They all
And then we
work.
want
That's
to,
it.
yeah. So we need to make sure that just dash dash doesn't parse as a delimiter row.
I think that is going to
Good
let us
call.
down. You're right.
Just dash dash. Oh. That's interesting. Yeah.
That's kind of what's unfortunate about pulling that advanced or the end out to
Right.
the outer
Well,
one
let's
of.
just get it passing without worrying about having it clean too much. So you're saying this should fail.
Okay. Yeah, but it's not going to because we're allowing the end at the
Right.
root one of, unfortunately. Yeah. And so I don't know. We should probably test this out on MXJS or something. But if you have one column, does it need to have leading and trailing pipes, or just one of the above? I'm not sure.
I think I tested this before, and it did need to have everything going on. But otherwise, it thinks it's a.
So you're saying is
It thinks it's a
this
set text, C
right?
text.
That's a weird feature that I've never used or seen used before. And I think there's some ambiguity about that. But are you guys saying that there are trailing and leading pipes for the column, but not for the... You're talking about this, right?
I'm not sure.
It
Yeah,
looks
what
like
goes
it
on
treats
here?
this
Yeah.
as a table. So
Awesome.
Well, that's great. I did
that's
not think it
interesting.
did.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
might be one where there's some ambiguity. So this tool is called BabelMark, and what it does is it runs through all these different Markdown implementations, and it compares the output for the input text. And so if we take this, let's see, does it treat it as a table? This treats it as the set text heading. The set text stuff is really
Okay.
weird. I don't really understand it. Like, set text is like, so like, this is an H1, but strangely so is this. Or this is an H2. Yeah, I know. It's weird, huh? But then if you had...
I was
Yeah.
looking at that to. I was looking at that to potentially implement it the other day. It has a bunch.
It's a weird one,
really
and it's
weird one.
weird because it adds this context that you have to like look ahead and just like, does anybody actually use this feature? Come on, guys. Let's keep it simple. But okay, so we expect this to fail. Expect fail is not quite. I should extract this to some test helpers, but expect parser fail. Some
We
parser.
we never got an answer to whether we're treating it as a table or not.
It looks like it was making it a C text.
Okay.
No, it's parsing it as a table. Or
Even in the other, in
good
here,
question. Let's see. Common mark.
because doesn't that have something to do if it's also on the first line of the document versus not?
Maybe.
Or no?
Oh man. Yeah, maybe.
No, it
Okay,
doesn't.
that's
okay,
good.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. But it's not turning into
Okay,
a
so
table
we're
for some
saying
reason instead.
that let's not consider this a delimiter row, but this we would consider a delimiter row, right?
Oh boy. Okay, so maybe if it's only a single column, you have to have
Ah.
leading and trailing. Is that what I'm saying?
It looks like it's very implementation specific.
Well, maybe
Wait, why
okay. So we
doesn't this
can't be
work?
looking at the first because it's a GitHub feature specifically. So we actually can't be looking at that part of the spec.
That's right. That's right. It's
Whoops.
GitHub-flavored. Of course. Of course. Good
Yep.
call. Okay. But this one is treating it as a table. Well,
Okay. So maybe in
what does
GitHub
the spec
flavored,
say?
it's very spotty around this.
I reckon we should treat
Okay.
it as a table.
Sounds good. Okay. So, expect parser fail.
So then I guess we just. So if we're going to treat it like a table, then that we just actually expect that to succeed, I suppose.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Until we can find otherwise in the consistent documentation.
This is also interesting for parsing tables because since anything can be the beginning of a table, for example, like this can be the beginning of a table, right?
See, I
Yeah.
thought they require something,
Okay.
some kind of a pipe.
Okay. If it's
somewhere.
okay, there needs to be a pipe somewhere on the line. Okay.
So if you take out the leading or the trailing, does it not work?
Okay, there needs to be at least a pipe on the line somewhere. Okay, so if there's a pipe somewhere, then we don't care if there are trailing or leading pipes or not for the delimiter row. But the heading row must have a pipe somewhere.
Do you know what Markdown implementation your editor's
That's a
using?
good question. We can use we can go to the source. We can go to GitHub.
Not requiring pipes adds so much complexity in the context of passing different
So what do we
block
want to test
types.
this? Oh, I didn't say it's Markdown. So let's see. There's this. There's this. Leading pipe only.
We don't have that much time left, so I think we should just run with what we've got.
Idea. Good idea. Okay, so let's just see what happens here. Huh. Interesting.
See, that makes it look like those are using thematic breaks and not tables at all. Almost.
Actually, there's they're headings. They're headings
because it goes all the way across.
These are level 2 set text headings.
When the underline goes all the way across, it's not. Okay.
Okay. Cool. We're gonna go 10 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's see what we can do.
So we could probably parse almost an entire table right now if we use our row parser and Delimiter parsers all together.
Yeah.
Yes. Trap it all together.
Good. So what are we saying? We're saying what's our failure here? Expected a parser error, but we're saying we're not expecting a parser error. Where's that test case? Must contain. We're actually saying that we're gonna run our parser.
I think that's probably still what we want in the end. Is that's not, but we can come back to that perhaps offline.
So, all right. So we're saying we should piece it together. Where should we start?
So do we have a test section for full tables? I feel like we created one somewhere.
Yes. The simple case. Nice.
Okay. So let's see if we can get that simple case to still pass with using both of our real parsers.
Okay,
Awesome.
so now we can use the row parser for the header.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it'll just be like magic,
Yeah, right.
putting all the pieces together.
I think we're going to want our parser base to be parser succeed with the table constructor.
Parser succeed.
Yeah.
So we can do our pipe equals stuff.
Okay.
And then a delimiter parser.
I'm gonna be.
But not take the output.
Okay, so this is still passing because.
Yes, because.
Right. So we should have a fail if there's no delimiter.
Yeah. So.
Yep. So we should add a test case for that.
Great idea. Okay, so. Table must have a
Our tests are probably more in depth than the actual spec.
Yeah, that's true. Good. I know there aren't so many test cases for the Markdown table spec, Github-Flavored Markdown table spec, especially considering how many corner cases there are. Okay, so we're just saying, hey, I forgot to finish my table. Whoops. And that should fail. Cool. I think we can do that.
Does the expect fail?
It runs
which
the top
parser
level
does it
one,
run?
although really I should.
Okay. Oh, I see the parser fail takes in some parser. Got it.
It would be nice to have like a little shared testing utility for that, and then like it's nicer to be explicit, right? Expect parser fail. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's better. Yeah.
So cool. That's it's passing. It's unsuccessfully passing our test. Failed to fail. So we've got our row parser, and then we're going to need to use our Delimiter Row Parser. And I guess, like, what if we just did that?
Yeah.
And Eaton?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh.
Type mismatch. Wait. Why is that a type mismatch?
Can't see the full error there. What is that saying?
Oh, this is... yeah, what are you saying? Okay, let me backtrack, because I messed something up when I wired that in. So things were fine here, I think it's... right? No? Where did I mess things up?
Oh, you know what? It's line 118. It looks like I think it's trying to create a tuple out of the results in that test. Yeah.
So I accidentally took this away.
Yeah. So you still need a close parenthesis, and then that needs to be
expect.
Yeah. So 113 here has an open parenthesis we don't want, or it's in the wrong place.
Open paren. Wait. Don't we need a paren?
Oh, it's closed. It's closed. Yep. We just need it to be closed before the comma, which it is now. Cool.
And
because this comma on 120 needs to be associated with the list.
There it was. Look, it was hanging right there.
There we go.
Oh, man. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, right.
Thank you, elm-format.
Okay, nice. Okay. Now we're doing real compilation and running of code. That's nice. So.
All right. So now we can add the delimiter check in. And
so. So yeah, let's see what happens if we just say Delimiter Row Parser. Is it going to fail? Is it going to compile? Right argument is parser string problem list of string.
So what is the parameter for pipe dot? Does it want something that returns a tuple, an empty tuple?
Let's see.
Oh, no, it doesn't care,
right?
It doesn't care.
Is our what's the type of our row parser? Parses to a list of string. Yeah, I don't see what the problem is. Huh. Right argument is parser string problem list of string. The equals needs the argument to be a row.
I think type row is not type alias, maybe?
Yeah, what?
Oh, no, it is.
Huh. Right, we had it originally that way, but then we changed it.
And what's our row parser returning? I mean, that was already working, so that should be fine.
Yeah, so it shouldn't change the type here, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm confused.
When you do the, what is it? IntelliJ does that. It tells you what it thinks the type annotation is.
Goodness.
Let's see.
Parser never.
That's the context, right? Which should be okay since we're not setting it explicitly.
Why is it never? Do we need to like map the error type? Okay, let's try annotating it.
What is that type alias?
It just has like the context. Actually, let's just say,
okay,
because this is confused. I should really have this in a shared module, but my parser. Yeah, all it does is it just captures string.
Do we need to return something? Do we need to return something specific to that output with the string and the?
Oh wait, it's saying that it's erroring now. Why is it erroring now? Okay, let's stash this.
I think it might need to be advanced.succeed. Actually, is what the problem is.
Oh my
right at the top. And that's why it was never instead of string.
You're totally right. Nice. Good catch.
Oops. We should have put a type annotation in row
Yes.
parser earlier.
Yes, that would have saved us. Nice, nice,
All right.
nice.
Let's see if we can get this to pass again.
I think this will do it. Nice. Okay. So delimiter. Oh, now I lost our test case. So okay, now our test case is back. Cool. Okay, moment of truth. Here we go. Come on, green. If we have green, then we're parsing an actual table. Oh, come on. So we need to make it fail.
Wait, that looks... Okay, so it fails correctly, but it doesn't... Didn't like the simple case.
Let's log it.
It's on row 2. What does the problem say? Expected... Because we know it's in row 2, so it correctly parsed the header row. I can't see from the error output what the problem was.
Expected one or more characters. So it's trying to parse the hyphens.
Okay. And what column is it in? It's in row 2, column 1.
Do we need to get rid of or add a spaces parser in between the hyphens?
Call. That's exactly what that is.
Oh.
We need 0 or more spaces
lines?
before and after our hyphens.
On line 116, we have spaces. So yeah, we can just use the normal spaces parser, which does
Wait,
where more.
Can you point me to
in our
what's
actual
happening
in our actual row in the row
Yeah.
parser? In the failing test.
What's going on in the failing test here?
So it looks like it's the one with our actual full table. So not this
on
one.
line 116.
Yeah.
We're putting spaces in our test case, but not accounting for them in the
these
hyphens.
guys.
Yeah.
Parser.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you saying, so like if I did this,
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
would that be green?
Hopefully.
Nice. Oh, nope. What? I really thought that was going to work.
Expecting in. Do we need a line?
Yeah.
Try finishing that.
So like if I did
There we go.
this, then it should be green, right? Yeah. Then we're parsing a full table.
Hopefully number 2.
Oh no!
Expecting pipe on row 2. 1. Wait, is this starting at 1 or 0?
It starts at 1.
Okay, so 1.
So
2.
it's row.
Column 1, row 2.
Row 2, column. Column 1 is going to be the opening
Okay,
line.
so here, so this is a one of, I think. It's expecting either a pipe right there, or on column 1, row 2.
More ideas.
Yeah.
Are we not chomping the new line?
Yeah, that could be what's going on here. Because it's an until, probably, in the until one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh, so chomp until end or doesn't consume. It does not consume. I've been bitten by this too many times.
So you want to end with a chomp if.
Exactly.
Can we replace that with the one? Oh no, we can't. That's fine.
Well, this will be a new line. Cool.
Oh,
and it's a lambda.
Mm-hmm. Okay, come on, Green. Come on. Or
is this
end.
the same problem with or end?
Can we replace that with just a token new line? Okay.
Probably, but that part was working, so let's not do that yet. Let's see if we can get it green first. So, come on, Green.
I feel like.
Yes, we parsed the table.
Parse table headers at least.
Well, that is
Cool.
a full table. This is a valid.
Yep, it sure is.
Oh. Okay.
Valid
So last thing. Now, if we do the end-to-end test suite, we should have one more test passing, right? Oh wait, no, we didn't wire it in.
Yeah.
That might have to be for another time. So stay tuned. I'll like post an update about this. I'll wire it in and let everybody know if we can wire in our parser as is, and if it gets us a passing test. So okay, cool,
awesome.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. This was super fun. Any closing thoughts? Any thing you guys want to plug or share or anything like that?
Write parsers. It's
Write
fun.
parsers.
Yeah.
There you have it. All right, cool. Thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure coding with you, and thanks everyone in the chat. Awesome. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining in the chat. And I've got some more events up on incrementalelm.com/live. Oh, and check out this sweet on-air button. I will never get over how fun it is building these little features. So that's it. Take a look. We've got some upcoming episodes planned out already and more to come. And if you have feedback, DM me. Let me know what you thought. Love to hear ways that we could improve this for the future. And see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Stay safe. Bye, everyone.
Bye.